Hi everyone, it's Nate and welcome back to Elevate with Nate, the place where we're all about learning, self-improvement and motivation. And where I discuss a wide range of different topics and often new things I've learned in the last 24 hours. And I encourage you all to leave a comment on what you've learned in the last 24 hours. So in this episode, it's a part 2 of the My Gym Workout Routine series. And in today's episode, I'll be discussing my workout, the second one, which is back, forearms and traps. However, if you haven't already watched the first episode on chest and shoulders, which we linked here somewhere, I recommend you do, because I also discuss at the start of that episode my general ethos for the workout. So give it a watch. But just to summarize, what I mentioned is that although I have my routines are quite conventional in terms of doing different body parts, what's different is I make sure to, on each workout day, include exercises from other body parts too. So for example, on a chest and shoulder day, I might include 1 or 2 sets of biceps, or on my back day, I might include 1 exercise on chest. Because by doing that, you can ensure that throughout your week, you're hitting each body part enough times. Because often hitting it once a week isn't really good enough. So let's begin with breaking down this workout. And I'd like to start it off with some pull-ups. Now, a bit like in my last episode for the dips, pull-ups is, as you might know, a very difficult exercise to perform. So if you're someone who finds this tricky, then either leave it out or you can try with some bands or a weight-assisted pull-up machine. Okay, but this is a advanced lift. But the reason why I include this at the start is because I find it a good kind of warm-up to get you kind of relaxed, engaged. But also, I found that when I was younger, when I was 15, 16, starting to work out, I basically just decided to do every single workout, doesn't matter what it was. I did 3 sets of pull-ups at the very start. And after a few years, my back blew up, has massive lat spread. So I found that it worked for me, hence why that's what I do, okay? Now, when it comes to completing these pull-ups, I do 3 sets, each with a different hand position. So my first set, I will do a regular pull-up, so that's going to be wider grip, okay? And you're really focusing on using your lats, okay? So it's going to bring your elbows down and bring chin up. Then my second set, I then kind of use the still overhand grip, but more like shoulder width parts, okay? I find that hits more my kind of middle upper back. I do one of those, and then the third set, I then do the more kind of bicep intensive exercise. So have palms facing yourself. Or if you have, let's say the ones that have the handles because they kind of point towards you like this, then that's completely fine too. And I hit a set. And all of those to failure. What I will say is though, I take a very short rest time. So 45 seconds, perhaps 1 minute tops. So what will happen here is, at least for me, after my first set, the second and third, I don't get many reps out. But that's fine. It's just a warm up, just getting kind of the blood and muscle. But do go hard. When I say warm up for this exercise, I don't mean just do 1, 2, I'm good. Still go hard, but you won't get injured because it's a bodyweight exercise. Right. From this point on now, for the rest of the workout, it's going to take a very, very similar feel to my previous one on chest and shoulders, which is for everything, I only do 2 sets per exercise. And in the first set, I do it heavier. So I aim to hit 5 to 6 reps to failure. Then I take a minute max rest time before I do a second set, a final set, and I aim for 10 to 12 reps. So that's more the hypertrophy. Again, watch the video if you want to know exactly why I do this. Now, before I touch on my second exercise, I want to make something quite clear. Conventionally for this day, most people would start with, let's say, the back. That's the biggest muscle when doing your back, traps and forearms, and that's what you start with. You start with the biggest muscle, so you can go hard with it. As I said in my last video, I have changed my routine up a bit because I want to focus on my weaknesses, okay, and what I normally struggle with or even leave out. So for me personally, I have a strong back, but my traps and my forearms aren't that strong. So I actually personally then put my trap workout, my trap exercises at the very start, after my pull-ups. Now, if you're someone who hasn't got a overpowered back and wants to make that your priority, then simply, when I read out the whole workout to you in this video, just switch up the order so the back is first. That's completely fine. I don't do it that way, but that's just me. So you can change up the order, that's completely fine. So my second exercise is going to be a barbell shrug. Okay, that's hitting your traps here. But just one slight change here. Even though I mentioned that I always do 2 sets, one heavy and one lighter, this is one of the few times when I don't do this. For the barbell shrugs, I just do 2 heavy, so both me 5 to 6 reps. So you set up your system and then you go up and back down. And the focus for this exercise is the following. When you're doing it, try and lean your body slightly forward, not too much, but slightly forward, because generally that is a better angle to hit your shrugs than doing it completely straight up. Just slight movement forward and up we go. And often focus on this. Focus on trying to raise your elbow as high as possible. If you focus on that, it just helps you get higher up, okay? But don't bend the elbow, don't do so much upright row, it's not that. But simply focus on that. So once you've done that now, I then go over to the dumbbell rack, and now I do 2 more sets, but now of dumbbell shrugs. And this one will be 2 sets of the volume or the hypertrophy. So I'm going for 10 to 12 reps on this exercise. Similar technique, simply going upwards by your side rather than barbell in front of you. And for this one, there was no particular reason why. I just find that for going heavy on shrugs, I find it easier using a barbell. And then for the hypertrophy volume stuff, I like using dumbbells. That's simply why I chose it in that order. So at this point, I now go on to the next slightly unconventional part of my workout, and I now hit my rear delts next, okay? Even though I didn't put it in the title of the video, I had back, forearms and traps, I also do rear delts. I don't do that on my shoulder day because I find it's too much. So at this point on the back day, I'll go on to simply 2 variations of rear delt exercises, depending on what I have in the gym at that moment. So what I do is, if your gym has say a pec fly machine, often you can change the settings so that you can reverse it so that the handles start at the end and you can pull it that way for your rear delts. So that will be a good one for my first set. And for rear delts, sure, I might even still do my 5, 6 heavy and 12 hypertrophy. That's fine. So that's the first one for your rear delts. And then my last one is going to be, I go to the cable machines, okay? And I do 2 sets. First set is going to be, I put the handles, okay, high up on the, as high as possible really, on the machines. What I do is I kind of grab across and I bring them down. So it's about, let's say, your chest height, your hands. So I go like that. And what you'll find is on the back of your shoulder, you should really feel a nice little squeeze there, your rear delt. So that's what I do for my first set. And then second set, what I do is I lower the handles, the cables, and I'll do it simply, so arms straight out, at right angle to your body, and same thing, just bring them back. You will find that the second one is harder than the first one. So when doing this, do go lighter for your second set. It's just nice having 2 different angles. That's what it's all about in the gym, different angles for different exercises. And because it's quite a small body part, on that one there, I would say just stick with the 10-12 reps for both those sets, okay? Right, at this point in the workout, I've finished all my trap stuff. I've done the rear delts. So now I'm gonna get on to the actual back stuff. Now, the next exercise I often leave out just because I'm being lazy, but I do recommend it, and it is some sort of back extension. Okay, and this was going to be hitting your lower back, which is, by the way, a very neglected body part, and also one of the main areas which people injure or say ends up hurting those when you're older, or even now. My lower back is always hurting. So I should, and I recommend you all, hit your back extensions. The issue with this is that in many gyms you won't have this machine, okay, or this setup, why it can be quite hard to do. But if you do have a setup with where you can do this, and I'll have some images here showing you how you can do this, then do give it a go. And you can start out simply having a situation where you have no weight, simply leaning over and go back up. And as you get stronger, then you can hold some weights. So do give that a try. Now, a lot of people who lift might say, well, how about your deadlifts? Okay, again, images here of a deadlift. This big compound lift, which many people love. They might say, just do your deadlifts. Deadlifts will hit your lower back a lot. But here's the reason why I personally don't include deadlifts on any of my days anymore. And I just found that I just was getting hurt, okay? And people might say, you just got rubbish form. No, my form was pretty good. Maybe it's my anatomy, okay? But if you watch many videos on pro bodybuilders, for example, they often say when they get older, they say, you know what? No, they stop doing the heavy deadlift stuff. They say it's not worth it. The gains to reward, the gains to injury ratio isn't high enough, okay? So you're gonna do it, you might get some good gains, but then the chance of you getting injured is so high that it's not worth the risk. And that's what I found. I'll do my deadlifts, after each session, my lower back will just be hurting. Okay, a bit from the DOMs, but not really, it's a pain basically. And I've had times where I've gone heavy, on that fifth workout, I twinge my trap and then twinge something else. It just happens. So I now personally don't include it. If you like it, as ever, then you can do it. But I just believe that for most individuals, it's just a slightly risky exercise. Which is why I included the back extensions for your lower back, and then we'll have other bits and bobs to hit the other parts of your back. So the next main part for the back workout is now going to be two main things really. You've got your rowing motion and your lat pull down motion. Now, my recommendation is that whichever you want to grow, let's say the quickest, okay, remember the rowing motion is more for the thickness of your back, say in this direction, how much goes inwards, and the lat pull downs be more for your wings, your lats, your width that way. So if you want to focus on your lats more predominantly than your width, so your depth of your body, then go do the lat stuff first. If you want more the depth, then go on to do your rows. I personally currently am going more for the depth, just because I already had in the past good width. So I now go on to my rowing motion, okay? But if you want to do the other one first, then again, simply change the routine once I've told you it. So here's the first row one I do, and it's simply just a normal dumbbell row. And the reason why I picked the dumbbell over barbell is pretty similar actually to the deadlift thing. I just find that my lower back starts hurting a bit more when I use a barbell. Now, don't get me wrong, I've barbell rowed for many years and still do it now and then. But I've now switched from barbell to dumbbell. So it'll be one at a time, and what I recommend is, rather than kind of having a situation where you're lying on a bench with one knee on the bench and one leg sprayed out and doing this, which I did for again many years. Since doing more research, I found out from many YouTube bodybuilders that that's not the ideal position. It's better to simply be stood up. I'll try and show you now. If not, I'll do it in a gym at a later date. But you want to simply grab the weight and either hold on to a chair or something, a bench, or if not, actually, you can rest your other arm on your quad and simply get a nice stretch down and bring it up. Okay, nice stretch down, bring it up. So with my sets I would mention, I want to have one heavy go 5-6 reps, and the next one volume. Switch each arms. And in this one, I keep my elbow quite close to my body, hitting more, say, your lower lat area. However, the next exercise now for me is I get a bench, okay, and I put it on an incline, I would say roughly probably 30 degrees, and I lie against the bench forward, lie against it, your legs spread out behind you, and I grab 2 dumbbells again, and this time when I row, I bring out my elbows out wide, okay, so I'm going to row up there. In case you're wondering why, as with many of these stuff I'm mentioning, your elbow position is crucial. When you have your elbows coming into your body, it's going to hit more your kind of lower lat area, whereas when you have your elbows coming out more, let's say, not quite right angle, but it's much higher up, that actually hits more in some ways your middle traps and more your, obviously, upperish back, which for me also builds that depth. So I personally do the first set, the normal ones, close the body, but then I now switch out to the wider ones to hit the whole different angles of my back and bring that depth. So 2 sets as per usual. Right, the next one now is going to be the lat pull down. So go to the machine. We already have a decent pump in the body, in the lats from the pull-ups at the start. We go to the lat pull down machine, and I always start off with 2 sets of wide ones, okay, in front of the body. It's okay if you have a slight swing. Many years I didn't swing at all, but that again was actually me trying to be too proper. You're allowed to have a slight move back to actually allow yourself to get a better range of motion. You're going to stretch up and bring it to there. So 2 sets. And once you've completed these 2 sets of the wide grips, I now go on to close grip with, again, your palms facing yourself. Now, this will depend on what you have in your gym. If you've got the bog standard, let's say the long bar, then it's fine. What I do here is you're going to take it, and for here, take it shoulder width apart, okay, here, and again, bring it down. Now, if you move your hands closer, so basically touching, that's going to emphasize more your biceps. Okay, they're both good for biceps, but that one in particular more. This is my back day, not my bicep day. So I want to focus more on hitting the back, get a different portion of the back. So I recommend trying to, in this situation here, when you're pulling down, try and pull your back. I often even have my hands, if possible, like a hook, like they're limp. Okay, and I hold it and feel the back coming downward, as opposed to your arms pulling downwards. Back it down, don't bicep it down. That's the key for these things. Same again for the wider one. Don't try and do some bicep. No, it's your back coming down. Your elbows pointing towards your side. So there we go. We've had 4 sets of that, 2 of the wide, 2 of the close, and that's done. For the lat pull downs, as I mentioned briefly before, it doesn't particularly matter on what grips you have. Each gym has different types. Some have a simple bar, some have the new ones where you kind of have a like rock climbing grip to it, where you kind of put your hands over it and you pull down. They're both fine. I've used both and they're both good, okay? So simply pick what you have. If you only have one option in your gym, then go with it. That's completely fine. Okay, there's only one more exercise now for the back. And actually, I don't know what it's actually called. My entire life, the one thing, I'm not sure what it's called. So if someone knows what it's called, I'll comment it below. But you go over to the cable machine, okay? And it could be a straight arm pull down, I'm not sure. But you grab the handle, okay? You put any handle at the highest point possible on the cable machine. Preferably, I would say a straight bar, but you can also use the 2 ropes, that's fine. And all you're going to do here is get a nice stretch with arms straight, or more or less straight, and simply just bring this down, you go vertically down first, until you've got it, your elbows as far back as possible. So boom, okay, back. That really hits your lats really well. So again, do your 2 sets of that. And at that point, we are now complete with the back workouts. So all that's left now is the forearms. And for forearms, there aren't too many that I like particularly, but it's just a few. You've got the conventional ones, which are simply, you get a little dumbbell and you go to a bench, you rest your arm on the bench. I did probably sideways, okay, like this, off the edge. And if you do this direction, so you have the palm is facing up and you wrist curl it, that's hitting more your inner forearm. Whereas if you have instead your palm facing down and you're putting it up that way, that's going to hit more your outer forearm. So you want to do both of those. After that, you can also go onto the cable machine, and similarly, this can be for your inner forearm. You grab the little handle, okay, I'd put a little single hand if possible on the cable, and all you do here is you let the cable kind of go out, squeeze it in, and simply wrist curl that way. And that works very well. You do both arms. You can go for this again, a heavy set and a light set. All I would say is, if you too often go heavy on this, you can start to get wrist pain. I went through a month where I would go heavy on this, 5 reps, and I did start to have painful wrists. So just be careful. Perhaps with this, aim for the high rep ranges, just to be careful. And don't be afraid also when doing this, to put your body into it, like an arm wrestle. Trust me, you might think it's bad form, but when you're putting it in with a bit of arm wrestling, you get your pump, you get your squeeze there. So do give that a try. And then very finally, if I have energy and time, for another kind of outer form exercise, it's a simple reverse barbell curl or reverse easy bar curl. So you're going to grab your easy bar and simply bring it up. Does hit biceps too, but it's a great one for your forearms. And as ever on these things, I'll go into more detail on this on my bicep day, but you want to have your elbows for this one to your side, but actually a bit more in front of you. And by doing that position here, it really focuses it all on the body parts you want to hit. If you have your elbows back here, it's just not the same. Okay? Right, that's the end of that back workout. Now, as you might have noticed, that was quite a long workout, okay? It might take, well, probably will take over an hour if you're doing all of those things. So, what I'll recommend is, and I do this very often myself, if you're rough for time and you're tired, leave out some bits and bobs, okay? So for example, what I might do myself is, if I'm low on time or I'm just tired or I've been talking to someone else in the gym for a bit, I might leave out the last back one, the one about the pull down one. I might miss out the back extensions for lower back. Let's say the shrugs, rather than doing 2 sets heavy, 2 sets light, I'll just do just barbell and that's it. That's completely fine. Okay, there's a lot there, a lot of good stuff, but don't feel obliged to do it all. So do feel free to tweak it. And as I said at the start, please do tweak the order also to accommodate your goals. If back is your main goal, hit those first. Hit traps at the end. If you find that you're neglecting traps, then bring them back forward. If you want to hit more the upper back, middle back, then have the elbows out for the rows, etc. Right, that's all from me. In the next episode, you'll be hearing about my arm workout, biceps and triceps. If you enjoy that, give it a like. And as ever, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. It's Nate. It's been great. Onwards and upwards.